In any market, one of the dilemmas that homeowners face is whether or not they should sell their house first to move, or if they should buy a house and make it subject to the sale of their house. This is one of those things that people are often very concerned about, and I know that agents have their different thoughts and ideas about which way is best, but let me share with you my thoughts and a few things that are very important for you to know. The first thing is, if you were to go and find a house before you've had a chance to sell yours, the problem that you run into is you can go ahead and make an offer and you can make it subject to the sale of your house, but you have to think from the mindset of the seller. The seller in that particular case is likely not going to give you much of a break because of the fact that tying up their house for an amount of time will be a potential disadvantage for them. So in order for you to have the benefit of making your purchase subject to the sale of your home, it is likely that you're not going to get a lot of price flexibility. It's quite a different story, mind you, if you came in and you did not have to sell your house and you were buying with cash, so didn't need to make it subject to financing. If you were, for instance, able to make it unconditional, so no conditions at all, that's a very strong proposition. In other words, there is no way that you can change your mind. Whereas when you make it subject to the sale of your house, the biggest factor is your house may not sell. And this is something that every seller and their agent will take into consideration. The other thing as well is that there's something called a time clause. So it's a time clause, meaning your offer is subject to the sale of your home. However, the seller still has the opportunity to find a buyer in the meantime. And if they do find another buyer, then they implement the time clause, meaning you have 24, 48, 72 hours, whatever it is you negotiate, to either decide to proceed with the sale or to back off. Now, the reason why this is important is because even though you may have negotiated the sale, even though you've got it subject to the sale of your house, you've got to know that there's always the possibility that another party will come by and snatch that house from underneath you. And the biggest problem is, if it was your dream house, somebody else will end up owning it. So I guess the moral of the story is, it is always best to have your house sold first before you proceed doing something else. The reason why you want to have your house sold first is, number one, you know exactly how much money you have to spend. It's not a question, you're not going to be wondering what your house will sell for because you would already have known. The second thing is, you'll have a specific date in mind as well too, so you'll know when you will be closing and when you will have access to that money. The other thing is that you will be in a much stronger negotiating position with a house you want to buy. Because as I mentioned a moment ago, you don't need to make it subject to, you're able to walk in and say, listen, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I want your house, I've already sold mine, I'm going to be firm and negotiate my price because it is surety to you. So, just some thoughts over whether it's best to buy first or sell first, and as you gather from this video here, it is always best to sell first. If you have any questions, my name is Tony Joe, thanks for tuning in, and be sure to watch more of our videos.